Hi, and welcome to Love is Crafting.
Love is crafting.
I'm Tila.
And I'm Stanton.
And if you're new to our channel, thanks for checking us out. And if you're returning, thank you so much for the support.
What we do here on this channel, we teach you how to do crafts and other DIY projects that are real, but not necessarily perfect, because
love isn't perfect. Today, we will be taking this Epson EcoTank 2803 out for a test drive. If you missed our last video on how to set this bad boy up, the link's right here, and it'll also be in the description.
So today, we are testing out different sublimation processes on t-shirts.
But before we get into it, make sure you like,
comment,
and subscribe.
Love is crafting.
Love is crafting. We wanted to see how Cricut's infusible ink held up to sublimation printing, so we used the same pattern material that we did for the infusible ink. I took a picture of it, and right now what I'm doing is I'm just cropping it to size so we can use it as a print and cut for sublimation. So we wanted to compare the two and see how it does. Essentially what we are doing is we are using Cricut's print and cut as a background for our sublimation printing. In order to do that, I wanted to use the exact same images we use when we use Cricut's infusible ink. So I did go ahead and open up the image section in Cricut Design Space. I searched for a heart, and I did put on my filter for free because we do not have Cricut Design Space access. Once you get your desired image or shape, you want to go ahead and put it on your canvas and resize it by clicking the edit option in the toolbar and then just resize it to size. And then you want to put it on top of your background image, and you are going to select both objects and slice. Since we wanted to compare, we wanted to use the exact same number of hearts as we did in our previous video, and we wanted to place them almost exactly to where it was on the Cricut infusible ink sheet. But we couldn't get it perfect, but we did get it pretty close. Next, we clicked next to go ahead and send it to the printer, but it was really weird because it was only showing one heart, and we got really concerned, like, what's going on with Cricut Design Space. But we just kind of worked through it, and the hearts were there, but it was just not showing in Cricut Design Space, which was really weird. But once we sent it to the printer, all 5 of the hearts printed.
Okay, so we have our design printed out here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it, and we're going to apply it to the t-shirt here. First step is cutting it out. So it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. It just has to be somewhat general, so that way when you press it onto the shirt, it doesn't leave the outline of where the paper once was.
And we could have used our Cricut to cut out these shapes, but I feel like doing it this way was just quicker than loading it onto a mat to just cut out 4 objects. And it doesn't need to be precise, so that's why we didn't use the Cricut to print it out, even though we used the Cricut print and cut feature to print.
All right, so these are our 5 hearts, 5 heartbeats. our shirt. So we're gonna first put our major heart right here in the middle, and we are gonna tape this down with this heat resistant tape. It's very important that you have heat resistant tape, because when it goes underneath the press, if it's not heat resistant tape, then your tape is going to melt, and that is a whole new problem that you don't want to have to deal with.
And we're taping it down because whenever you're doing sublimation, you don't want it to move during the pressing process.
So we're gonna do the two bigger hearts diagonal, and then the smaller hearts on the opposing corners. I know when I'm normally using tape, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a big piece. All right, so I think that is secure enough for this to be a successful process. So a couple things you want to do is you want to make sure that your design doesn't bleed through your shirt. So you're gonna need 2 pieces of butcher paper or Teflon, whatever your preference is. 1 to go in between the shirt, and then 1 to go on the very top. Okay, so now that we have our design pieces taped down to our shirt with our heat resistant tape, we're gonna put this on our mat because next we have to apply heat, and we are using the Cricut EasyPress 1, the OG EasyPress. Only downside with this one, it only goes up to 350 degrees or 360 degrees. So we're gonna just go 360 for 45 seconds. That beep says that it's ready. Here I just have a piece of cardboard, which I am using to make sure that the colors on the sublimation print do not bleed through to the inside or the back side of the shirt. So that would do it. And then we are going to use some butcher paper to protect the design on top. So let's try this out. 360 for 45 seconds.
And whenever you're doing sublimation, you don't want to apply a lot of pressure, so he's just going to set it down. So here's the downside with using the EasyPress 1. It doesn't seem to be holding the temperature that we set it out for long. So our results might not be the best, but we're gonna give it a go.
And since it dropped down in temperature, instead of just stopping at 45 seconds, we're probably gonna just go about 10 seconds longer. remove the butcher paper. Let's start at the corner.
As you can tell, these colors aren't coming out as vibrant. So maybe using it on the lower heat wasn't the best idea. So you know what? Why don't we try doing this again, and we will
use a heat press?
Use a heat press.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a better idea. Okay, yeah, look at how this came out. The colors are very muted. Doesn't look very good. Hopefully the higher heat will help us out. So now we have our second attempt at the sublimation. We borrow one of our friend's heat press. This time we are still gonna go with the same 45 seconds, but we crank the heat up to 400 degrees. The shirt's already in the same position that it was when we were using the EasyPress 1, but we are just going to add this here. Remember to add your butcher paper to protect the design as well as your heat press. And again, low pressure. This is how you set the pressure. Let's go low pressure. And down. I believe that should be counting, right?
Press it now.
It says 359 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's not good.
Oh, now it says 361.
Well, it looks like we made a blunder, and it wasn't up to temp when we started. So let's see what happens.
Let's do 30 seconds, and then we'll wait a little while for it to get up to temp, and we'll just do another 30 seconds and see how it turns out. So from our blender, I was informed that this part actually isn't the part that's hot on this model of heat press. So when I was touching it all lightly, you don't have to, this part's not hot. So go ahead and straighten it out. But now that the heat press is up to 400 degrees, we're gonna reapply the butcher paper, and we are going to push it down and do another 30 seconds and see how that does. Is this part hot? The top?
Mm-hmm. So there's that caution sticker there.
Oh yeah, high temperature, do not touch. I probably shouldn't have been touching that, huh?
Probably not.
All right, give it some air.
And we did put that piece of cardboard in between the layers of the shirt.
All right, moment of truth, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would say better.
Yeah, we're gonna come and we're going to compare all three shirts and let you guys know our thoughts. Okay, so we're back here and we have all three of the shirts that we pressed. This first one, we use Cricut's infusible ink. This second one here, we used our sublimation printer with the EasyPress 1. And this third one here is we used our sublimation printer with a heat press.
Yeah, so just from the view of these shirts, it's probably easy to determine which one we think came out the best, which would be the infusible ink.
Now, some reasons why the colors may be different was because we literally just took a picture of Cricut's infusible ink sheet, and then I used it in Cricut Design Space to make these hearts to print out. So because we took a picture of it, lighting's different and it wasn't the actual colors, I'm thinking that's why they didn't come out as vibrant, just because it was a picture and printing it went through some things, and so the colors just didn't translate the same.
Yeah, and speaking of the colors, we originally tried this obviously with the heat press one, and as you see,
the
EasyPress one, and as you see, the some of the hearts are a little bit faded. The color didn't come out as well. I think a portion of that was the fact that the EasyPress one can only reach 360 degrees, and also up here where you see most of the fading, it's possible that I wasn't putting a lot of heat on the top area here with the hearts.
Yeah, that's another idea that it could have been, like the heat wasn't evenly distributed all across the board on all of the hearts the same. And also on this one, because we didn't have it up to temp the first time, we did an extra 30 seconds, and it left marks where the hearts were. So make sure when you are doing sublimation and you're using the heat press that you aren't using too much pressure.
Yep, so overall, obviously the infusible ink wins the crown of the day.
Yeah, definitely. So if you don't have a sublimation printer, go with Cricut's infusible ink. You'll get the same type of result. But if you do have a sublimation printer, we do suggest using the Cricut EasyPress 2 because it does get to the higher heat, or heat press. Here is a closer look at all three shirts. This is the Cricut infusible ink. This one is the sublimation print using the EasyPress 1. And this last one is the sublimation using the heat press. Leave a comment which one you think is the best. And remember, love is crafting.